The tyrant falls away, a crown of iron shattered in the fires of decay. But the streets run red with vengeance, a slaughter door to door. Christians, Jews, and Shias, ground in holy war. The Alawite screams echo, left to chaos burning skies. 1,000 souls extinguished beneath the rebel cries. The deep state pulls the strings with weapons cold and sleek, armed by shadow hands, bold to devour the weak. Blood on the sands, a nation torn apart. Minority graves carved by a blackened heart. Deep state's blades in the hands of the free. Democrats cheer for this misery. HTS rises with promises so thin. A mask of tolerance hides the terror within. Gunmen storm the villages, revenge in every shot. A power vacuum festers where humanity rots. From Langley's dark corridors, the shipments cross the sea. Rifles, drones, and chaos, a gift from tyranny. The CIA whispers, freedom's worth the cost. But the price is paid in bodies, innocence forever lost. Blood on the sands, a nation torn apart. Minority graves carved by a blackened heart. Deep state's blades in the hands of the free. Democrats cheer for this misery. Pelosi claps her hands with a smile so wide. Schumer nods in silence on the war hawk side. Blinken fuels the fire with a diplomat's grin. Biden's voice commands it, let the slaughter begin! The Jews fade to shadows, 7 left to pray. Atheists in hiding from the judgment day. The cross is set ablaze in Latakia's night. A jihadist, Priam falls under rebel might. The deep state's arsenal, stocked by unseen gold. A game of power played while the truth grows cold. Assad's reign was brutal, but this hell's worse still. A nation's soul dismembered by the West's cruel will. Blood on the sands, a nation torn apart. Minority graves carved by a blackened heart. Deep state's blades in the hands. In the hands of the free. Democrats cheer for this misery. Screams of the fallen echo through the dunes. A symphony of anguish under blood-red moons. The overlords of chaos with their suits and ties break this reign of terror, Syria's demise.
Walking through the city lights, shadows dance on neon nights. Your voice whispers in my ear, sweet insanity is near. Skyline dripping golden hues, midnight we chase our muse. Pen and paper, heart and soul, together we just lose control. Sweet insanity, take my hand. City's rhythm we understand. Lost in stories, time's our friend. In this chaos, let's not pretend. Stars are blinking in the dark, dreams ignite with every spark. Art and words, we weave a tale. Through these nights we will prevail. Midnight laughter fills the air, creativity so rare. Side by side we paint the scene, a city pop, a jazzy dream. Sweet insanity, take my hand. City's rhythm we understand. Lost in stories, time's our friend. In this chaos, let's not pretend.
Into flame, baptized in pain, a child of war, chains he can't unchain. Sword heavy, heart heavier still, walking through blood bound to a dark will. The demons whisper in the night, shadows dance in pale moonlight. Fate etched in his branded skin, forever chased by unholy sin. Cursed by the mark, branded by fate, rage in his eyes, vengeance won't wait. Swinging through nightmares, blade cutting deep in a land where demons never sleep. Comrades lost, love betrayed, in eclipse shadows, innocent slayed. His memories burn, never will fade, a warrior bound to his crimson blade. Beneath the gaze of evil's eye, he roars defiance, won't comply. Scarred by darkness, strong he stands, blood and iron define his hand. Cursed by the mark, branded by fate, rage in his eyes, vengeance won't wait. Swinging through nightmares, blade cutting deep in a land where demons never sleep. Between heaven and hell alone he strives, ghosts of the fallen march at his side. Berserk fury in darks revealed, with every swing his fate is sealed. Until the end he'll fight his war, a broken hero forevermore. In shadows deep his story spun, branded warrior, guts the one.
poison-laden air. Shadows creeping across cold stone, whispers haunt my breath. I clutch a floating, severed hand, my curse, my borrowed death. Demi's voice calls through the dark, guiding where lost echoes hark. In sacred arcane temples deep, I tread where silent spirits weep. Moonlit descent, plunge in the night. Through labyrinth of fear I fight. Ancient beast beneath the keep. Dreamer stirs in poison sleep. Through hollow basins, crumbled halls, bone and dust entwine. Vampires feed in sanguine tides, holy fountains blind. Ring of coffin, ghost-like gleam, secrets old and grand. Alchemy and lunacy in every trembling hand. Knights and witches, thieves and more, each soul cast down below. 9 paths converge a destiny, down winding veins of woe. Blood and fire, earth and light, spells that beckon call. 37 lost arcana waits in caverns tall. Moonlit descent, plunge in the night. Through labyrinth of fear I fight. Ancient beast beneath the keep. Dreamer stirs in poison sleep. In player's dimension endless gray. No turning back, just death or stay. Homunculi in silent Rome. Ashen copies of my home. Moonlit descent, plunge in the night. Through labyrinth of fear I fight. Ancient beast beneath the keep. Dreamer stirs in poison sleep. There's nowhere to go back to. The final secret speaks. In luminous depths I find my end. A dream of reason. Monsters' Creed. Welcome to the flesh carnival. Step right up, take your ticket in blood. Ride this nightmare, welcome to the flood. Buzzsaw spinning, crimson delight. Bodies painted scarlet in neon light. Cotton candy hair, syrup thick red. Caramel eyes melting down the dead. Popcorn screams from a kettle of dread. This carnival won't stop till it's fed. Flesh carnival, welcome to the freak parade. Flesh carnival, watch morality decay. Flesh carnival, every thrill's a mortal sin. Step inside, let the gore fest begin. Ringmaster grins through razor teeth, under tents made of human sheath. Jugglers tossing eyes and ears, laugh track echo your primal fears. Carousel horses carved from bone, calliope music in a fatal tone. Roller coaster rails slick with grease, lubricated by the recently deceased. Flesh carnival, welcome to the freak parade. Flesh carnival. inside, let the gore fest begin.
Taste the chaos, lick the fright. Splatter painted by neon light. Reality's torn at the seams. In this hellscape, death redeemed. Grindhouse mirrors shine to reflect your pain. Every ticket bought leaves a blood stain. House of horrors breathing, walls alive. Face the nightmare, none survive. Flesh carnival, welcome to the freak parade. Flesh carnival, watch morality decay. Flesh carnival, every thrill's a mortal sin. You stepped inside, now let hell begin. Thank you for visiting the Flesh Carnival. Come again soon.
Wow, I was just sitting there without my mic on. Okay, I noticed my mouth wasn't moving. I was like, wait, why is my mouth not moving? I'm talking. It's because my mic was off. All right, so we're starting today with something a little different for me, at least. Well, it's not different. I mean, it's not what I was planning on doing. So, I was planning on playing game, and there was a few funny videos I saw. And I'm like, okay, cool. We'll react to some funny videos. And then this bombshell of a video from Tucker Carlson comes out, and I'm like, I don't know when it came out, but I was just made aware of it. And apparently my governor is involved with the Chinese Mafia, and it's kind of a big deal. So I figured we could react to this because I'm interested in watching this. And yeah, I mean the Chinese Mafia. What? What? I never even thought I would be able to say that the main government is involved with the Chinese Mafia. But apparently, okay. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. Okay. So, like I said, my governor is involved with the Chinese Mafia.
We recently had a remarkable conversation with a man called Steve Robinson, one of the last independent journalists in the state of Maine. And he told us a story that stunned us. It's about the Chinese takeover, the takeover by Chinese drug cartels of the largest state in the Northeast. It's a story about what happens when immigration laws are ignored, when state and local governments fail to do their duty. We have a documentary out about this right now. It's on TCN. The documentary is called High Crimes, the Chinese Mafia's Takeover of Rural America. It's shocking. Watch it now. It's available only at tuckercarlson.com.
Okay, so, yeah. And Tucker Carlson actually lives in Maine. So if you just didn't know that, you do. Now you know. So this is going to be like any of my other reaction streams. I have no clue what I'm going into. I have not watched this. I've seen a small little clip and I was like, what the fuck is this? So, yeah, we're checking it out. Maine is a really nice state. Just saying. If we can get all the communists and stuff out. It's somehow, got involved in.
Thank you for doing this. You're the best journalist in Maine. You're one of about 6 journalists in Maine. So, I mean, I don't know. But if it weren't for you, I don't think anybody would have any idea what was happening in the state of Maine. So let's go to the story that has kind of defined your coverage over the last couple of years, and that is I don't think it's too strong to say, the takeover of rural Maine by Chinese drug cartels.
Amazing.
I'll stand back and let you describe the scale of this and what it is.
Okay, so like literally I have no clue about any of this. Like I know about like the drug problem we have in Maine, like it's really bad. And I know about like trafficking and stuff like that goes on through Maine, stuff like that. I had no clue the Chinese mafia was doing stuff over here. And I'm like really confused and concerned if this is all true. I'm just saying. I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, when you hear the Chinese mafia is literally like affecting where you live, it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. And I'm just, yeah, I'm a Voyager like you.
Well, I mean, it's shocking. I would say
shocking.
There's probably 300 to 400 properties throughout the state of Maine that are under the control of what the Department of Homeland Security under President Biden called Asian transnational criminal organizations.
What?
Chinese mafia, I think, is a better term and an easier way to understand it. This first came to light in...
Is that why there's so many Chinese people up here? Listen, man, there's a lot of Chinese people up here. I mean, a lot. And they don't speak English. A lot of them. But I didn't really connect the dots and say like, oh, those are Chinese mafia people. You telling me I'm talking to like Chinese mafia people sometimes? Wow.
The end of 2023, when a reporter from the Daily Caller News Foundation, Jenny Tare, who's a fantastic reporter, got a leaked memo that said, hey, there's 270 plus of these sites in Maine, and there's another 800 in other parts of the country, and that caught my eye. I grew up in Maine, spent my whole life in Maine, and I figured if there were 270 sites in Maine where this criminal activity was occurring, I would be able to find it. And so I contacted Jenny and I worked with her and eventually got more information about some of these sites that she knew about, identified the property owners.
That would explain why they're freaking out so much about legal immigration.
Identifying some of the patterns. And I basically looked at every mortgage record for the past 6 or 7 years in every county in the state of Maine, and all the electrical records for electrical upgrades for commercial grade power, which is required for these marijuana grows, some other financial records and mortgage documents.
Well, marijuana grows aren't legal up here. Like, I'm pretty sure marijuana grows are legal in Maine. Just saying.
And was able to identify well over
statewide,
300 Chinese marijuana grows unlicensed operating in the state of Maine.
Unlicensed? Why not have a license? Wait, there's illegal ones? Okay, this is weird.
Looking at records and piecing the puzzle together, and then decided I need to go visit them to see what the story is and to confirm it. And so I drove, easily 10,000 or more miles around the state of Maine to very, very distant, remote places, schools, factories, former shoe factories.
Actually, driving 10,000 miles and still being in Maine is not really that shocking. We are a pretty big state. We're a small, big state, but we're a big state.
Former scrap metal yards. There's
the detritus of the industrial economy.
Yeah. There's one of these next to my high school basketball coach's house. One of these next to, the guy who ended up marrying my high school girlfriend. He's got a Chinese marijuana grow next to him. There's a Chinese marijuana grow next to the first place that I got drunk with my high school friends. There's a Chinese marijuana grow on my camp road that has since been busted. There's a Chinese marijuana grow on my dad's road in St. Albans. They're everywhere. They're in former schools, former nursing homes. And we were able to find them. It was easy to find. And it turned out that one of the first things I would do when I showed up and scoped something out, you can smell it. You can see the upgraded electrical work. You can see the license plate out front from New York City. And you go and you talk with the neighbors, and the neighbors, you just knock on the door and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about your neighbors. And they kind of get this look in their
Actually, it's interesting that it mentions New York. There is a group. I'm not going to mention where they are at, but I know of a drop-off point which I've been contacting police about, and it's a drug drop-off point, and they always have New York plates when they go pick up. So, if that's telling you anything, I've actually witnessed this, and so I can concur that some packages, I don't know what type of drugs they are, or if it's marijuana or anything like that, but which I'm surprised at, that marijuana is a legal drug here. I mean, I guess they would make it in the state, but like the Chinese Mafia is doing this? I don't know. I was sure that it was harder drugs though that's being dropped off here.
I finally somebody wants to come hear what we've been going through and what we've been seeing, and they're eager to share their story. And the story is always that in the middle of COVID, a young couple that spoke decent English, were of Asian descent, showed up, bought the house, came over, introduced themselves, gave them a bottle of wine or a bottle of cognac, and introduced themselves.
Hell
and
yeah.
said, we're getting away from Boston, or we're getting away from New York because of COVID. And, this is just going to be our family getaway. And then they never saw that couple again. And from then on, it was a steady stream of other individuals of Asian descent who did not speak English, were not personable, seldom left the house. And every 30 to 40 days, a U-Haul would arrive, usually at dark hours, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and be there for about an hour and leave. And then there obviously was the smell of cannabis, very pungent, and all the windows blacked out, and the electrical work, and odd chemicals being dumped in the backyard, and some other indicators. Sometimes they would burn to the ground because they were trying to pass through too much electricity through. But I guess it was a period of 7 or 8 months I spent driving all around the state of Maine and seeing story after story after story, and interviewing all of these people and seeing how scared people were, how terrified people were, how well known the story was amongst people.
Why were people afraid?
They were, for a number of reasons, I think. I think there were some people who were afraid of being called racist. If they were...
Everyone in Maine is afraid of being called racist.
Yeah, they are.
It's the main weakness of the state.
Which is what
I can attest to this. Pretty much everyone up here, because Maine is very white, right? And so Mainers tend to react very strongly to being called racist in a very, very negative way. And I'm not saying them being called racist makes them immediately capitulate. A lot of Mainers, which is ridiculous. Because we can't be racist because there's no one else other than us white people here. So yeah, but I guess that's kind of why, because if there is somebody else here, they're from someplace else, obviously. So racism, I guess. I don't know.
I found was the exact opposite. I found that they were willing to tolerate behavior from their Chinese neighbors that they would never have tolerated from Irish or French or English neighbors. Absolutely, illegal dumping, breaking the transformer every other week and causing blackouts in the neighborhood. They would never have tolerated this behavior from white neighbors. But because of this inclination to not be smeared as a...
Dude, if some dude trip the electrical around here, on purpose, man, I would give him so much shit. And I guarantee you a lot of other people around here would. I live in a landing, so I'm off the grid from the normal people. But man, if some person moved to the landing and started tripping our power grid and knocking transformers and stuff like that because they're a draining man, we'd be pissed. We'd be pissed. There's no way.
Racist. They
no way we'd take that shit.
But they were also scared because they knew the signs of a criminal organization. They knew what was going on, and the marijuana economy in Maine is big. It's bigger than blueberries, potatoes, and lobsters. So there are enough people in the industry who are talking about this. And so there was this kind of secret hidden knowledge of what was happening in this state, but it was you can't talk about it.
I'm a little bit confused for a couple. I mean, there's so many questions. I'm glad we have time. Maine has effectively legalized marijuana. Okay. So there are weed, and some kind of criminal enterprise has funded all these weed dispensaries, medical marijuana dispensaries. They're in every town. They're the only new buildings in most towns, as you well know.
Yep.
And the idea, the way that was sold. Your dog's getting mad about this.
Yes, he's very upset with what's happening to Maine.
The way this was sold to Maine voters was, we're going to take the crime out of marijuana. Like, we're going to regulate it. It's going to, if you want marijuana, if you want cannabis, you can go and get it. It's got no weird chemicals.
It's going to be safer.
It's going to be safer.
Yeah. And the tax money too. The tax money is, our schools are going to be so much better. Our streets will be safer. There'll be so much more revenue for all these
bigger
wonderful
group of
things.
liars than the marijuana peddlers. They're liars. I know a lot of them. They're liars. Anyway, whatever. This is the opposite of what was promised, correct?
Yes. I think that we unintentionally created a system that was so ripe for exploitation by criminal groups that you have to wonder if it was done intentionally.
So, why would they? I mean, there's so much marijuana in Maine. You know, everyone grows marijuana in Maine. Its value's fallen dramatically. I don't know what they're selling an ounce of weed for right now, but you can stuff your mattress for
$40 or $50.
That's crazy.
If it's triad weed.
$40 or $50 an ounce.
If it's triad
I don't smoke
weed.
marijuana, but I did as a child. In 1983, it was $100 an ounce.
Yeah.
And that in 1983 dollars. So it's dramatically cheaper than it ever was. So what's the motive for illegal weed grows?
Well, they have the advantage of not paying taxes, no regulatory compliance. They're not paying their labor a significant amount of money. They're using pesticides and fungicides illegally that reduce their product loss. They can also export marijuana. About 2/3 of the product that they grow illegally leaves the state of Maine. Legal growers aren't allowed to do that because it's not federally legal yet. So they can sell into black markets like New York for a period of time, which was a black market, early on into Maine's development of triad weed. Later it was a gray market where they legalized it, but didn't really have a formal system for the sale of marijuana products. So anytime you can bring your product from Maine to a black market state, you're going to get 3 or 4 times the price. And this is something that a Chinese criminal organization can do, but the mom and pop trying to run a cannabis edible store or whatever can't do. They can't export their product out of state. So if you have all these built-in cost advantages, you can get a significant amount of money off of it. And they also consider it very low risk. And they were right to consider it low risk. Because when the state of Maine legalized marijuana, just like what happened in Washington State and in Oklahoma and in California, it changes the culture in law enforcement. We sent a signal to law enforcement that marijuana was no longer a problem. It was legal. The people voted, stopped paying attention to marijuana, and cops who busted a significant marijuana bust were kind of laughed at. Like, that's just pot. That's legal. Why are you doing that? Fentanyl is the priority. And we also have all kinds of legal marijuana grows happening, and that functions as camouflage for what the Chinese do.
This is wild.
So it might not be the most lucrative activity, but it's pretty damn lucrative. But it's low risk, very low risk for them, because at worst, they're gonna, you're gonna get arrested, you're gonna get your mugshot taken, you're gonna get $2,000 bail, and you'll be released. And probably never have to show up at court, go to New York, get a new driver's license with a new name, come back and find a different marijuana grow to work at. So really no one suffers any consequences from this incredibly lucrative activity that they're engaged in.
So the more you learn about what's in the products, the food and the drugs that you put in.
So just off that, that's a really big issue apparently. I had no clue that marijuana was something that was grown here. I never really thought of it being exported from here, but it makes sense that it is. But illegal grows though, from Chinese mafia type people. I had no clue about that. That's wild. And I will have to keep my eyes out more, I guess. I always just assume that, it's legal now, so people grew it, and because everyone does grow pot around here, I mean, not everyone, but you know what I mean. It's growing around here, I'm shocked.
In your mouth, the more terrifying it becomes. All kinds of ingredients you can't pronounce, you don't know where they're from. You probably don't want to know, actually. It's bad, and the effect on a narcotic. Peaklife.com/Tucker. You will feel great in the morning.
There you go.
You said there were illegal Chinese cartel grows all around where you grew up. Where did you grow up, and what did your family do?
I grew up in Dexter, Maine. It's
okay,
kind of
Dexter's
in the center of the state.
Dexter's right by me. It's pretty close. So like I actually know this area.
Southwest Penobscot County on the border of Somerset. And my mom worked in hospital. She was a medical assistant. And my dad worked for a period of time at Dexter Shoe until our good friend Warren Buffett bought it and closed it and ruined the town of Dexter. And then he worked in car sales for pretty much the rest of my life.
Your father worked in the shoe plant. Your grandfather worked in the shoe.
Yeah, my grandfather also worked in the shoe factory as well. Yeah, Dexter Shoes, it used to be a prestige brand.
Yes, it was.
Probably 800 to maybe even higher than that if you include the Milo factory. So probably well over 1,000 union jobs making shoes. But Warren Buffett thought that he could do it better.
Did he?
No.
And what happened to Dexter, Maine?
The town has collapsed. It's scary. It's sad. It's heartbreaking to return to. The public school is the largest employer in the town.
It literally, like, all of our areas had we had like Dexter. You knew that was the shoe company, you know? And then we had Old Town. You knew that was the paper mill. Millinocket, you knew that was the paper mill there. And like slowly but surely, like all these businesses shut down because of either conservationists or lefty policies and stuff like that. And the people that like brought that in were the people like living in the areas, but like they voted for this stuff, and a lot of the attitude has kept the same. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people voting for these environmentalist things and stuff like that, and voting for all these, like, I don't know, man. It's like people are dumb up here. They'll vote for like against their interests, you know? It's like, dudes, why would you support something that's going to destroy your job? And then like the factory closes and everyone's all like upset and like protesting about them losing that business. And it's like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? Like, for instance, we used to have Bangor Hydro. It was a hydroelectric, very, very clean and efficient form of energy. And now we don't, because the dam was like killing fish or something like that. I don't know. But like it was affecting the migration patterns. And so like they spent like millions of dollars outfitting it so it could be good for the fish. And like, so fish could pass through and stuff like that, and like it wouldn't be a problem. And then they just shut it down. They're like, no, we don't want it anymore. It's too much of a hassle. So like literally we were making our own power. Electric was real cheap. And then like we go to like CMP or some bullshit like that. Completely ruins everything. Maine's going to continue to ruin its economies because it just does not learn. And like, I really hope that my friends and stuff are like listening, because you got to start paying attention, my friends, because it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And for writers and stuff like me, or, you know, other famous writers, they don't have to really worry much. But like people that have jobs, like it's literally going to come down to like you working at Walmart. And that's like literally all that's there's going to be, you know, is like Walmart and retail workers and stuff. It's absolutely nuts what they've allowed to happen to the state. But anyways, let's continue.
You know, my high school, or my Little League baseball coach used to own one of the general convenience stores in town. Not anymore. It's owned by a member of the Patel family. Crazy Bob's Discount Tobacco, also owned by a member of the Patel family.
Have they made it a lot better?
No.
Yep, I knew that.
Yeah, I mean, there's I think 7 Chinese marijuana grows that were operating in Dexter, despite the fact that Dexter opted out of the state's legal programs. So these were de facto illegal. You could look at them and tell that they were illegal, that they weren't licensed, because Dexter did not participate in that marijuana program.
That's amazing.
Yet for some mysterious reason, the Dexter police know where they are and haven't taken any action on them.
Wait, so the town's economy collapsed when Warren Buffett came in, and over time shut down
Gutted it.
the factory.
Yeah, you got it.
And then it was invaded by people from Asia who took over the businesses and then started 7 illegal marijuana grows. 7 in the
Didn't
town?
happen that fast. It didn't happen exactly that fast. So I think Buffett's acquisition of Dexter Shoe was in like 96 or 97.
I remember it, yeah.
And it limped along for a little while. And there were some other attempts. There were some other businesses in Dexter. It was a town of about 4,000 people at the time. I think it's now down to 3,500. But when I go home, I don't recognize anybody in Dexter anymore. And, my family, my friends, for the most part, have all moved away. I see Dexter in the headlines a lot for fentanyl raids and busts. But the town has really been hollowed out. And I think it was the collapse, the economic collapse and the despair in the town just created low real estate prices for entrepreneurs from foreign countries to take advantage of. Yeah.
And just bleed it of whatever was left.
Yeah. And we as in the United States have created programs that help them. We've taken money from United States taxpayers to help both we don't necessarily need to get into the Patel Hotel cartel, but they're taking advantage of small business administration loans. And it took until just recently with the election of Trump to stop SBA loans to foreign nationals and non-citizens. I don't know why we were giving SBA loans to non-citizens. That's interesting.
I just want to, because I'm familiar with what you're talking about, I just want to say emphatically that there's been not only no improvement, so these stores, which are very often the only store in a town.
Mm-hmm. Best pizza, coffee, the centerpiece of the town. It's the town common.
It's the town hall. Yeah, of course, everybody's there. And they've been taken over almost exclusively by foreigners from the subcontinent. And I've been to many of them. They've all gotten much worse, much worse. Selling drug paraphernalia, just garbage products, hostile. Have you seen any improvement?
No. And they're also, they're selling cannabis product derivatives that were legalized by the Farm Bill that legalized hemp.
Right.
Unintentionally created this huge world of dodgy, unregulated drugs that are available for minors. And in many instances, it's these specific convenience stores that are selling these hemp-derived products, which are, THC or marijuana adjacent. Will give you kind of the similar experience, but are wildly underregulated and untested, dangerous.
Every illegal Chinese vape is for sale. It's the most degrading thing I've ever seen. It makes me want to get a gun every time I walk into one of these places. It's just parasitic behavior in the most obvious way and hostile. So,
we have no immune system as a state to repel what's happening because there's not enough capital to come in. There's no competitor to foreign money coming in with an SBA loan and buying up Toots Delicatessen and Dexter.
This is awful. I had no clue that this shit was going on. Holy crap. So, all the small towns in the area are like being affected like this? Or is it just Dexter? We gotta go find out more, man.
There's no one else who could possibly buy that store, and there's no one who would want to, frankly.
So I've seen, and I hate to get sidetracked, but it's such a big question in rural America. Who runs the general store, the convenience store, the gas station store, whatever you call it? It's the center of every little town,
right?
And if all of a sudden, in the space of 5 years, they're all run,
we have Tuco's checkout in our area. So like literally, that's like the center, the town I live in. So yeah.
By non-citizens from India, and they're all getting worse, and they're all engaging in business practices that are almost like intentionally degrading of the people who live there. Like, no, we only sell generic cigarettes, illegal Chinese vapes, and some kind of weird non-regulated narcotic and bongs and crack pipes. That's literally what's happening.
Yes.
What? I haven't.
And there's garbage piled up outside. The whole thing is like beyond belief. You have to sort of wonder, like, what actually is this? Are these?
I haven't seen any of that in my area. I don't know if I need to get more rural because I'm suburban. I don't know really what to call like the area I live in. It's not populated, but it's not populated. Like there's a house, you know, every, I don't know, every acre, I guess, of land. Yeah. So I have no clue, but that it sounds awful if it's like as bad as it sounds. It's just I'm a little shocked at this, to be honest. I was not thinking that this video was going to be this.
Incredibly profitable businesses. This seems like a scam of some kind. But last thing I'll say, I know this for a fact. A lot of these places, if you look at the tax records, they trade for, you know, 300 grand or something. But most of the transaction is off the books in cash. So they're dodging taxes, actually.
Mm-hmm. And they shift around from one trust to another trust and then back to another trust. There's very complicated, very complex financial schemes at play. And
so this is clearly a scam. There's a criminal scam. I don't think it's just in the state of Maine. I think it's probably all throughout. I know it's in New Hampshire as well, and Vermont.
Wow.
What is this scam?
Well, they're certainly not making money off the hotels that they operate in the general stores. If you look at a town like Lincoln, Maine, something similar has happened where one family from away from out of state has come in and purchased competing rival gas stations. But there's one gas station that's still owned by a local. And so naturally, the people who know the guy who owns the store and don't know the guy who owns the other stores will go and patronize the guy that they still know. So as business has declined to these other general stores, somehow they're still thriving. And initially their employees are locals and Mainers, but then eventually there's a new class of employees who are brought in very likely on visas, who are also from away. I think that if you look at some of the...
From India.
Yeah. I think that if you look at some of the cases that have been filed, even under the Biden administration, against operations that look a lot like what's happening in Maine, they're immigration scams. They're using these businesses as a pretext to get SBA loans and also to get access to visa programs so that they can sell legal entry into the country to people back in.
So they're selling. They're selling those visas.
To be clear, I don't have proof that that's happening in Lincoln or Dexter, but there are indictments there's one I know of very well in Texas where that's exactly what was happening.
It's made every town where I've seen it, and it's, you know, a dozen or more worse.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, you know, okay, there are a million scams, but like if you roll into somebody's town and degrade it on purpose and make it much worse, you know, I think that's a moral crime. And there's been no response at all. Okay.
Yeah. And I was asked about a food pantry operation that they were trying to set up in Dexter. They were trying to raise some money to help give out food to poor people. And I asked, how much of the new owners of Dexter Variety and Toots Delicatessen contributed to this charity operation. You know, their new pillars of our community and small business owners, how much have they given? And I was never given a very good answer on that.
Yeah, the answer is zero, of course. So you may have seen a recent story about a smartphone that got smuggled out of North Korea. The device is programmed automatically to take a screenshot every
the entire purpose of the
address and encrypt something that only
here. The
device. A single subscription covers up to 8 devices.
ExpressVPN.
Tech experts consistently rank ExpressVPN among America's top VPN services. There's a reason for that. You get an extra 4 months of ExpressVPN for free just by scanning the QR code on the screen, or go to expressvpn.com/Tucker.
I use Proton.
4 extra months for free. expressvpn.com/Tucker.
But that's only one aspect of how the United States taxpayer is subsidizing what's happening here. About, I would say, a third of the properties in the state of Maine that would go on to become illegal Chinese marijuana grow houses were purchased using mortgages through a program called the Community Development Finance Institution. It's a designation that you give to banks. The entire purpose of the program is to help marginalized communities access financing. The idea is that if you were an immigrant in the 1990s, you couldn't prove regular income, you had irregular finances and trouble accessing a mortgage. So they created this special program to take away some of the risk from the lender. So there's one bank in New York, Quantic Bank, that has the CDFI designation, and on their website they advertise that they'll help non-citizens, foreign nationals, buy property in the United States. This bank advertised on...
I'm trying not to use the F word. Why would we be helping foreign nationals buy in places where there's a housing crisis and the people who are born there can't find a house to live in.
Yeah.
What is going on?
And then why under COVID would we supercharge the program with an additional tranche of funding?
They're absolutely right. Like, to be outraged by this, because in this area, rent is very, very high. I know a lot of you might not think it's high. Like, if I were to say, like, it's about $1,200 for a single bedroom apartment in this area, I think that's high. I know I wouldn't be surviving right now if I had to rent an apartment, because that would pretty much, that would eat up a lot of what I have for income. I don't know how people can do it, to be honest. And in this area, it's very difficult, and that's why, like, this dovetails kind of with the homeless video that we watched the other day about Maine and the homelessness that they endure, because all this is awful, just awful stuff. And I'm kind of wondering, like, is this what it is, here? Because, like, these both are they're issues that feed off each other, and, like, it's funny how you can see the connection to these crises. And once again, everything goes back to allowing, and I hate to be the guy that's, like, anti-immigrant, but, like, I'm anti-immigrant because they come over here with these visas and these green cards, and they don't renew them, and they're given, like, all this stuff, and it's like, why are you giving these people a leg up when your own citizenry of, just normal people can't survive at all, and seeing that, it's really disappointing to hear.
Why would we put that program on steroids? I don't know. I know,
because
but I know that it was exploited.
Because you want to kill and replace the people who populate your country. That's why. Replace them with other people, obviously.
Yeah. In looking at the mortgage records,
it's a horrible.
Having to actually look at the physical records themselves, I cottoned on to this Quantic Bank pattern, and it's just a quirk of how the Registry of Deeds records work, that you can search by the lender. And so I searched Quantic Bank just to see, do they loan to everybody, or are they just suddenly a new domain? And I would say 95% of their loans were post 2019 and exclusively to people with Chinese names from New York and from Boston. And in further reviewing those records, I found that there were two loan officers who were originating almost all of those loans, 95% of those loans. And one was a Taiwanese national, and the other was a Chinese national who graduated from a university in China that's affiliated with the PRC's economic warfare program. I actually got phone interviews with them. They're on our X page. You can go listen to them. I asked Yingshan Wang, I said, did you know that these properties of all these loans that you're doing were becoming illegal marijuana grow houses? She said, what? No way. Well, I'll have to say something about this. We'll have to put a stop to this.
Did they?
Not, I don't know. I'm unaware. I know that there's been a lot of letters written by politicians about the CDFI program, about why we're doing this, but the horse has left the barn at this point. I mean, they have the properties now, and they have the means to generate as much cash as they want. This was a gold rush in Maine. That's what it was. It was when we legalized marijuana, there was a vote in 2016. The state, came out and said, yes, we want adult use marijuana legalized. They formalized the program in 2020 and created an adult use program and a medicinal program, which are very distinct. And the medicinal program is vastly underregulated compared to the adult use recreational program, which is counterintuitive. But the medicinal program is like the wild, wild west. But when we did this, we created just a pig scramble for a $5 to $10 billion market for this drug. And the forces that we unleashed and the forces that were brought to bear on Maine to access that money, we weren't prepared for. The local police weren't prepared for it. The sheriffs weren't prepared for it.
Because they were told that this was going to solve the crime problem associated with illegal drugs.
Yeah.
If you legalize something, there's no more crime.
Yeah. In 2021, in Turner, Maine, at 57 Conant Road, there's a hangar right next to Twitchell Airport. It's a disused airport.
I know it.
The police have been there many, many times. We got police records from early 2021 where they had been called there for what they were told was a hostage situation. And when the police show up, there's Chinese individuals who only speak Cantonese running out in the woods, total chaos. They can't really discern what exactly is going on, but it's a civil dispute and they decide it's not their problem. But in their notes, they say that they believe it's the property's under the control of a, quote, Chinese gang from New York. That was in early 2021.
That was in their notes?
In the incident report, they say that they
Wasn't it their job to do something about it?
You think? There's never been any arrest made in connection with that facility, which functioned, according to the state police, as an illicit marijuana grow controlled by Chinese gangs from New York. The Office of Cannabis Policy, which regulates all of this, has suspended numerous licenses.
Here, this is actually really freaky because this is like right where I live. I had no clue that the Chinese mafia was like up here as much as it is. Like, I knew about some of the other mafia groups being around here and stuff like that, but now there's the Chinese mafia. Like, what is going on in our state? I'm sorry, but like, damn, what the heck? Definitely not going to be poking around, but still.
For Chinese marijuana growers from out of state who are affiliated with that property. There's never been any arrests made at that property until last December. A guy named William Robinson, no relation, was shot in the head there by a drug dealer. And the guy who shot him was allegedly arrested hiding at a marina in San Diego.
What, San Diego?
You say you believe around 300 Chinese gang-controlled drug operations in Maine.
There are grow houses. There are flop houses. There are prostitution houses masquerading as massage parlors. There are some, I guess, financial hubs that you might say in Kittery and Old Orchard Beach in southern parts of the state. There are other facilities that seem distinctly militaristic in character.
What does that mean?
Your hair stands up on end when you go by them. I've knocked on the doors of a lot of marijuana facilities, but in Greenbush, Maine.
Where's that?
It's about 35 minutes north of Bangor, very rural. But there's an area where there are multiple adjacent properties, all controlled, all fenced off, motion sensors on the road so that they know if someone's coming well in advance. And
Dude, what? Holy shiza. Okay, I was not aware of any of this shit going on.
blue collar workers I've talked with who have had to come out and do some service at those properties have talked about being surveilled by crews of, 8 young Chinese men, close crop haircuts, fatigues, and
Fatigues?
what there was described to me as fatigues, standing around the perimeter of the property. And when they need to access the property to do some load testing, if they're, for example, an electrical worker, they're physically stopped and prevented from accessing the property, and they're escorted off the property and 2 crisp $100 bills tucked into their back pocket, and they say, "Coffee money, coffee money, coffee money," and they push them off the property.
Things are completely out of control in Maine, obviously.
Yeah.
Completely out of control.
Yeah.
I should say, for the record, it's prettiest state out of 50, nicest people, lowest crime rate for my whole life. I'm 56, so a long time. And you're describing like something's really, really dark. How many of those facilities have been shut down by state or local law enforcement?
It depends on what you mean by shut down. You can execute a search warrant on one of these facilities. You can go in, you can arrest some people, you can destroy their plants, but the very next day it can get spun up, and all they have to say is that they're getting a license. They're in the process of getting a license to operate legally, and then law enforcement can't touch them. I saw this exact thing happen in Franklin County. There was a raid at a location in New Sharon, and I showed up the following day because I wanted to document it. And there was a big white truck
Dude,
from
this is
Grow
like
Generation.
what do you buy
It's
me?
a marijuana growing supply company, a fairly big one in Maine, backed up, and there was a crew of workers offloading material. So it had been raided the day before by the sheriffs, and the following day, they're spinning it right back up. And I emailed the sheriff and said, hey, just so you know, like, these guys are right back at it. I'm watching them. You can come over here. And he said they say they're getting a license now, so I can't touch them. And what we learned in January.
So if I get pulled over without a driver's license and I say I'm going to get a driver's license, they let me go? I don't think so.
No.
They take my car, actually. So how is that? I mean, with no respect at all to the sheriff you're referring to, how is that? Like, how is that?
So it's kind of genius the way they've set up the scheme, in that the property owner is never the one who is there growing the marijuana or picking up the marijuana or trafficking the marijuana. And so they're never held culpable for the activity happening at their property, because they can always have plausible deniability. Oh, I was renting to my cousin. I was renting to a stranger. I found this guy on WeChat and rented the property to him. I had no idea this was going on. I'm so upset that this is happening. Thank you, law enforcement, for
that should
for
not
doing
be
this for
allowed.
us. So in January,
I'm sorry, I'm not talking more. I'm
policy,
shocked
handpicked
right
by
now.
Governor Janet Mills, a guy named John Hudak, admitted.
What's his name?
John Hudak.
John Hudak.
He came from Colorado. He has a long career of.
Been a huge success there, the cannabis legalization.
He's been involved in cannabis policy. Brookings
Totally destroyed Denver. I mean,
he came from the Brookings Institute.
if you use Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, then you're overpaying for your phone. That's just a fact. The company-
Holy crap, guys. This is like
Think about it.
wild. Holy crap.
Retail stores. Retail stores you're never going to go to.
I can't believe
Necessary perks you'll never
what
use. There's a better way.
what is on this
You need.
broadcast. I mean,
Pure Talk uses the
holy crap. Like, what do you do in that type of situation?
tower, so it's not off-grid or done
Like,
wire between
This is stuff that I deal with. Like, I live in this area.
charge for the add-ons that send most bills to the roof.
I don't know, man.
Unlimited talk,
I don't know. This is like freaking me out, kind of.
bucks a month. $25 a month is probably less than half what you're paying.
Wow.
You get the
I've just, it's hard to believe that we have like such a enterprise going on
You save an additional 50%.
just behind our noses, you know?
Take less than 10 minutes. They do
It's absolutely,
You don't have to switch your phone.
it's absolutely
Phone number, you don't have to do
crazy.
anything. You only save money. puretalk.com/Tucker.
I mean,
wireless buy
yeah, I'm just blown away right now.
for Americans.
I'm blown away.
How do you spell his last name?
Hudak, Hudak.
John Hudak. Okay.
And he is in front of the Veterans and Legal Affairs Committee testifying for the first time this year of this session. And he admits that he's been giving licenses, medicinal marijuana licenses, to individuals that he suspects have ties to Chinese organized crime. Or he's giving licenses to people who provide addresses for their grows at properties that have been previously raided for their connections to Chinese organized crime. And that his hands are tied. There's nothing that he can do about it. He somehow finds a way.
How about say no?
That would be racist.
Yeah, the state has no immune system. That's it. You're exactly right.
There's no immune system. We have no defense. And if you look at, like, where I'm from, Dexter, you got Dexter, Ripley, Corona, Cambridge, all these towns, 3 different counties represented, but you've got one criminal group that's operating in 3 different counties. So 3 different sheriffs have jurisdiction, and multiple different local police departments. And some of these towns don't even have police departments.
Guys.
But they're not, as a matter of course, sharing intelligence. So in order to take down a criminal operation that's straddling 3 counties, you need to get cooperation amongst these 3 sheriffs who don't just always cooperate. So it requires a Herculean effort amongst law enforcement to coordinate one of these crackdowns or one of these raids that are going to be effective at actually arresting people, detaining people who could be, witnesses who could explain more about what's ultimately happening. But by and large, there's no effective enforcement. And the Maine State Police have been AWOL. Totally AWOL. The one police force.
So I just want to make sure I understand this. You were tipped off to this story by a Daily Caller News Foundation reporter who had a state-generated list.
CBP. This was generated by Customs and Border Protection.
I'm so sorry. Okay, so it was the feds. But it was I mean, a government agency identified these places. So it's not like you're just guessing.
Yeah.
And the Maine State Police, that was a couple of years ago. They've done nothing.
They've been involved in 3 raids, and 2 of them were in Belgrade, about a mile from the state police headquarters. And the reason they raided those is because 6 months before we started drawing attention to them, one of their troopers had been.
Well, once again, like Bangor, the drug, like in Bangor, if you want to get drugs, literally across the street, there's a park from the police station. And that is where everyone sells drugs. It's like literally across the street from the police station. So if you want to buy like anything, go there. It's absolutely wild.
And inside, seen 500 or 600 marijuana plants, talked to the Chinese individual who voluntarily let the trooper in, so all of this is admissible, talked to the Department of Agriculture, talked to the Office of Cannabis Policy, confirmed that it was an illegal grow, and didn't do anything to it for 6 months and allowed it to continue to operate. So it's my belief that those 2 operations in Belgrade were CYA. They didn't want it later to look like a cover-up on their part.
So this is just corruption. I mean, you're describing corruption. I mean,
What else explains it? The governor of this state has yet to utter a single word about a vast criminal conspiracy operating in her state.
Absolutely nuts.
We don't even know how many people have been killed. In Freedom, Maine, there was a house, 555 Belfast Road, been busted by the sheriff out there for functioning as an illegal marijuana grow, subsequently turned into a flop house, and there was a carbon monoxide poisoning incident. There were, we think, 4 or 5 Chinese migrants living there, poisoned by carbon monoxide, hospitalized. 2 of them died. Somehow, the exhaust
Just
of the
magically
heater
they're gone.
pipes back in through the window. It was an accident, officially, on paper, is what law enforcement have determined. Somehow, the propane heater, the breeze must have caught it and piped it back in through the window. And there was no outpouring of progressive goodwill or mourning for these poor Chinese migrants who died at a flop house in Freedom, Maine. But I mean, it was an attempted mass murder, in my opinion. There's no way the exhaust just accidentally pipes back into the house. No, this was an attempted hit on Chinese migrant workers at a flop house. This was triad on triad violence, which we've seen, we've documented. There have been burglaries. There was the shooting I just talked about at the marijuana grow in Turner. And that individual, after he shot who was his friend in the head, turned to one of the witnesses who I've talked with and said that he was a hired hitman for the triad and that there were 40 more just like him. Maybe he watched too many video games or too many movies or whatever, and he was lying, or maybe he was telling the truth. I don't know.
So there's more than one Chinese criminal organization.
Yeah, or multiple families for sure. Multiple regions, I think, is safe to say. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
And the governor's not.
So we could have like Chinese gang wars.
Who is the
governor?
fuck?
Janet Mills.
What the fuck?
She was a attorney general under Governor Paul LePage. She was a district attorney before that. She's been a government employee for basically her entire life. Came out of Farmington, dropped out of Colby. She claims on her own free will, and then graduated from the University of Massachusetts in 1970, although she's not listed in the program for that graduation ceremony. It's the weirdest thing. But she's been governor now for about 6-7 years.
So it makes you wonder, like, you know, what is her position on illegal drugs, which are destroying the state? I think any fair person would say that.
This was originally what I
the
thought this was
state
about.
Under Governor Mills has
Okay, so like originally I thought this was about Janet Mills and like how she has contacts and ties and stuff like that. But apparently this is like a really big thing. This is much bigger than I thought it was. And like I was like, oh gosh, I'm gonna dunk on Janet Mills, but like holy shit! Holy shit! What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? It's just a lot of stuff, man.
embraced
A lot of stuff.
restorative justice and harm reduction, and the idea that if you stop enforcing laws against drugs and you pass out needles and Narcan, that is going to be good for society. I think the plain objective evidence is that that's been a complete failure. But on the I guess the Chinese criminal conspiracy in the state, we've approached her at events and tried to ask her about it, and she won't answer questions directly.
Why?
Of course she won't.
So that's the $1 million question.
So do you have any evidence that suggests a motive for ignoring something this destructive?
Well, part of it could just be ego. It could just be that it's the main wire, and it's we are the conservative outlet in the state. And maybe if she acknowledges the problem of Chinese criminal organizations in this state, it's in some way validating the work that we've done to expose the problem. And if you accept that the work that we've done on Chinese criminal organizations in the state is legitimate, valuable journalism, then you have to ask, well, what about the other investigative projects that we've worked on, which I also think are valuable journalism for the state. So maybe it's just as simple as
only journalism in the state. Let me just correct you. The only journalism in the state.
With all due respect to your friend Steve Collins,
there's no journalism in Maine at all. It's 1.3 million people, largest state in New England, bigger than the other 5 New England states combined. I mean, it's a real place. No journalism.
A lot of stenography.
What you're doing, and propaganda.
There's a lot of propaganda here.
But I'm interested, that's a huge...
For a lot of you, you might not understand this because you live in states that do have journalism and stuff like that. Here we have, what you see on... the news, like on TV, is what we have here for news. Like literally, that's like how our newspapers are written. They're written as if they're I don't know. It's a very weird state as far as news goes, and they are right about not having any type of journalism. We don't have like investigative pieces and stuff like that. We have state propaganda, basically. So if you notice that in my writing, like you'll notice it in my writing. It just doesn't exist here.
Footprint across a huge state. So a lot of people know this is going on, and she hasn't said word one, much less done anything to stop it. It does feel like someone's getting paid.
I am increasingly of the belief that there's a lot of bribes being paid in the state. Small stuff to code enforcement officers, police departments. It's really the only way that explains the lack of action. And we did discover in reviewing property records, there was a raid. This was in 2024 in February that kind of targeted the area around my hometown, the town that my mom grew up in. I mean, from this marijuana house that was raided in Corinna, you can see the church that my brother was married in and that my grandmother used to go to. It's a big, beautiful main house that will probably have to be destroyed now because of the poisons and the mold and everything that afflicted the house as a result of it becoming a marijuana grow. But there was this coordinated raid with the sheriffs, a very effective law enforcement action. And in the days after that, there was a real estate transfer done for a property in Corinna, Maine, in the same town, for a 12-acre property, a teardown, really like a hunting camp. It was a transfer of a property from a Chinese woman living in Massachusetts to another Chinese person living in Guangdong province, China. So it struck me as unusual.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
A little weird?
It was a little weird. And then on the real estate transfer document, it said that this was a gift to mother. And my mom was from Corinna. And so I thought to myself, if I told my mom that for Mother's Day I was giving her 12 acres and a teardown in Corinna, Maine, she would probably slap me. So again, this is an unusual gift to your mother. But what really struck me as unusual about it was the fact that the attorney who processed the real estate transfer was Paul Mills of Farmington, Maine, who was the older brother of Governor Janet Mills.
What? Wait, the governor's brother is involved in this?
The governor's brother has been involved in notarizing deeds for individuals connected to Chinese organized crime, and was the real estate transfer attorney specifically for this property, which he helped transfer as a gift to the ownership of a Chinese national who owns multiple marijuana grows in the state of Maine. And it was done days after a law enforcement action in that area
That's shocking. That's shocking. Here's a depressing but true statistic. Nearly half of American adults say they would suffer financial hardship within 6 months / Tucker.
I don't know what the fee on a real estate transfer document is, but I'll tell you, I called Paul Mills and told him that I was from Massachusetts. I was looking to do a gift transfer in Corinna, and I was wondering if he'd help process this real estate transfer for me, and he told me that he didn't do work in that area.
But you had evidence he'd just done work in that area.
Exactly.
So if you had said, I'm calling from Guangdong province and I'd like to open another illegal drug operation in the state, you think that would have been different?
I don't know. I don't know who called him.
That's literally catching him red-handed.
Maybe a useful idiot, or maybe it was an element of Chinese culture where they think that they need to pay some kind of a tribute to the elected official in charge, to their family members, in order to get some kind of protection.
When have they done that before?
Right. But I called Paul Mills as myself.
That does make sense.
We had a 10-minute interview about this property, and he said their friend asked him to do it, and couldn't remember who. Couldn't remember who? Couldn't remember who the friend was who asked him to do it, but he remembered a lot of details about it.
He's the governor's brother.
Yes.
The sitting governor.
Yes.
Okay, so all right. In China, culturally, it's very common for people to give money, like a bribe. I forget what it's called. I used to know the terminology for this, but they'd give a bribe to somebody in order to get something done, and they actually have a name for this. It's very common. Like literally, to get anything done, you have to bribe people. Basically, give them at least a fancy dinner or something like that. Something small, but something, and depending on how big the thing is, depends on what the size of the gift should be. But like for instance, getting a driver's license or something like that in China, you need to pretty much give the guy a fancy dinner, it's like dating, I guess, in a way. But yeah, to literally have any political official do anything for you, you have to give them money. So I can imagine it coming to America, the Chinese person would naturally give a politician money to get something done for them or something like that. It kind of makes sense. I'm just saying.
And I printed off copies of the real estate transfer record with his name on it, with the address in Guangdong province, China, where this new owner of 12 acres and a teardown in Corinna, Maine. And I have the code enforcement officer on the record saying this is an illegal marijuana grow, and we would not authorize it because Corinna opted out. We went to the state house and we passed out. I printed out 50 copies of this real estate transfer record, and I passed them out to politicians. I passed them out to other reporters. I sat in the governor's lobby with a camera focused right on the door, just waiting for an interview. And they actually canceled one of her meetings with school board members and snuck her out the side door so that she wouldn't have to answer questions. And even though I blanketed that place, I was like South Korea flying over North Korea, dropping flyers, trying to get people to pay attention to this stuff. And no other outlet in the state of Maine covered it. Nobody else covered it but you? No one.
That's crazy.
Okay, I just want to sort of pause and ask the obvious question. So that suggests such a deep level of coordination and terrifying corruption. I mean, are you worried for your safety?
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult to know how worried you should be in a situation like that. What exactly?
More than I should be showing this.
Allowing Chinese drug cartels to control huge swaths of rural Maine, and people are dying. A governor herself is saying not one thing, we're trying to stop it, and the entire rest of the state's media is ignoring it. That sounds like a level of corruption that's would have been unimaginable in this country 5 years ago, even.
Yeah.
So that is crazy.
And if you're the one guy saying something about it, which you are, I don't know. I mean, where does that leave you?
Before I even reported anything on this, I had a Excel spreadsheet working on a database, keeping track of records of sites we'd flagged, from financial records, tax records, electrical records, sites we'd visited and confirmed, sites where we talked with the neighbors. And at that point, I'd identified maybe 150 or 175 of these sites and actually sent it to the Bangor Daily News. I hadn't reported anything about it, but I was...
Bangor Daily won't help you.
I was scared.
Bangor Daily is so corrupt.
And I thought that if we all reported it at the same time, it would kind of diffuse the attention.
Yes.
And I was like willing to give up the, I guess, whatever the prestige of being the one who gets the scoop to have us all come forward and report on this problem. And they've never used it. They've never reported on it. They've never touched it. I don't know. I mean, it's just maybe their pride of not relying on, I'm not a journalism school graduate, so maybe they don't want to use it, or some dirty trick by the conservative media that I'm trying to pull on them, but they haven't used it. And I, at the same time,
because it reflects poorly on the Democratic administration that runs the state. Maybe that's yeah.
If that is the truth, that is horrible. This should not be happening in a state like Maine. It's a small enough state that everyone knows everyone, like it's a small state, guys. Nothing, I can't extend this out enough. You will see people all over the place all day long. It just happens because people, and it just happens. We don't have large cities where you don't know everyone. You literally can be going to just about anywhere and you're going to meet somebody somewhere down the line. And it's just crazy that in a state that's so interconnected with community and such, that this type of thing could happen. I don't know, man. This is blowing my mind. No, normally, I have more to say about things, but I'm actually at a loss for words. This is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's sometimes the simplest explanation is the correct one. It's also could just be laziness, a lack of curiosity. I mean, this is a story that can't be told merely sitting, or discovered merely sitting behind your computer. You have to actually be going out and talking to people and knocking on doors and taking some risks. It was around the same time, though, that after I'd been out the entire day knocking on fields, a lot in Madison and that area, and
beautiful town.
Used to be. And I'd realized, I was like, man, this is a real vast conspiracy. And it just kind of dawned on me how insane this entire thing was, that this was being allowed to happen in Maine. And I was like, the law enforcement has to be on this. And I don't want to be the guy who comes along and reports on this and dicks up this big investigation that they're about to close the loop on. So I drove to the Maine State Police headquarters and I walked in with my laptop and I told the receptionist, I have evidence of a vast criminal conspiracy currently operating in the state of Maine, and I would just like to turn over some information to anybody, because I don't want to interfere with some active criminal investigation. And I waited in the lobby for 15 minutes, and then some woman came out and said, there's nobody here who can talk to you. And I contacted
Where was this?
This is right in Augusta, the Department of Public Safety building.
What the fuck?
Augusta's the capital of the state.
What?
Yeah. And then I contacted
There's nobody here who can talk to you? This is in the public safety building in the state capitol, and you say, I have evidence of a vast criminal conspiracy. And you're a sober, sane person.
It could be oh my God, it's literally the government.
In the state of Maine at this point. In fact,
holy crap. The government's involved in this shit?
No one can talk to you?
What the hell?
Granted, it was 4:25.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
On it might have been a Friday, so they'd probably clocked out by that time. But I contacted the director of communications for the state police and reiterated what I'd said. And I contacted some other members of the state police that I knew through family connections, some fairly high ranking who used to be very big fans of mine when they heard me on conservative talk radio, but don't want to talk to me anymore, and reiterated what I'd said. I was the communications director told me somebody would call me on Monday, and that must be 120 Mondays ago at this point. So they have no interest in talking to me or hearing from me. The troopers I've talked with are they're mystified by the decisions that their leadership are making as well.
Who's making those decisions?
Well, the Michael Soschuk, former police chief of Portland, who everybody in Portland was glad to see him leave when he got picked to be the head of the Department of Public Safety. So he runs the Maine State Police and the Maine DEA, Michael Soschuk.
Michael Soschuk.
Yep. And he runs the Maine Drug Enforcement Agency and the Maine State Police, and he's a cabinet nominee of Governor Janet Mills.
Of course.
He also has yet to utter a single word about this criminal conspiracy.
I mean, just hearing this story, which is one of the most shocking stories I've ever heard in a lifetime of hearing shocking stories.
I'm so glad Trump is being
makes
like...
the hair on your arm stand up because it feels like there's this great...
So Trump did make a statement about this after, I guess, something. But he said he was going to be looking into having the Justice Department looking into this. So, like, I really hope he does. This sounds like it needs federal hands on it and not state hands. This is huge. If this is true, and this is, I mean, obviously not taking it, all at face value, but like, if this is true and they have government, they're in the government, our state, because that would make sense. Like, it does kind of make sense because our state doesn't really do much when it comes to that. And like, they have enterprises all over the place where they profit off addiction, drug habits, it's different things like that. And it's really scary to think that it might be as high up as, the governor of the state. And if it's the governor of the state, what do you do? Like, this time she's out, but like, what's stopping her replacement? Like, I really hope that whoever is the conservative gets voted in. Like, even more so now. Like this is actually kind of frightening. Just saying. Like, just from because like I live in this area. Like I said, I live in this area, and like some puzzle pieces that of my own experiences are kind of fitting together, and it's not this doesn't feel right. It's unsettling. I'll just leave it at that.
Evil, there's this great destruction of human life. There's this great crime taking place in public. Everyone can see it. Chinese drug cartels control a lot of the state of Maine, and it feels like everybody's in on it. And you're the only person saying anything about it. I mean, do you have trouble sleeping?
Sometimes. Yeah. I mean, it's been a battle for sure.
Why are you doing this?
I feel like I owe it to my state. I feel like I had such a great childhood, a wonderful childhood as a latchkey kid. And I loved Maine, and I loved being able to grow up and ride my bike anywhere and be safe. And I feel like my people are being taken advantage of by powerful forces that they're unequipped to repel. We don't have an immune system for this. And the only thing that I can do to fight back is to put a spotlight on it and to expose it. It's like my riding around with my grandfather in a pickup truck in Ripley, Maine, and he sees some garbage on the side of the road, and we stop, and I ask him, what are we stopping for? He's like, this garbage, we got to pick it up. It's not our garbage. We didn't leave it there. It's like, yeah, but I got trash bags and we got time, and it's our town. This is our community. It's my version of that. We're taking out the trash. We're picking up our backyard. That's what needs to be done. And there's no one else who's doing it. I love this state. I don't want it to become, just like a festering gangbang for third world criminals.
And so it's becoming very fast, faster than I've ever seen anything change. Okay, so now to the question of the watchdogs, the constitutionally protected watchdog class we call the media. In Maine, there are 3 big papers, one in Bangor, one in Lewiston, one in biggest in Portland. Press Herald, Daily News, Sun Journal. And they've been around a long time. They had big staffs at one point. Like, where are they? Why no coverage? I can't, It's blowing my mind.
I mean, they'll cover something if there's a press release.
It's because they have to do work at it. Like the news articles that come out around here is like some people are going for a jog. Ooh, let's talk to them. It's like they're very mundane issues. Like there's nothing happens. So like unless it like directly affects, something conservative. Like something directly conservative, I'm sure they would report on it. But like they don't have hardly any of those. Like maybe there's a huge issue in like, I don't know, because it's not even like there's some stuff that's happened recently. I'm not at liberty to say it. I'm getting smarter about this. But there's stuff that happens that they can't report on or that they could report on it, but if somebody were to report on it, it would be headline news. But they don't report on it because it would affect the left. And unfortunately, our news in this area is completely co-opted by a leftist bias. And since it's a leftist bias, they won't cover it. Even though the majority of people in Maine are conservative.
If there's a raid that a sheriff does, I mean, Sheriff Dale Lancaster in Somerset County is probably the best sheriff in the state of Maine, probably the best law enforcement official in the state of Maine. Old school, no excuses, no BS, kicking doors in. He's been responsible for the vast majority of the successful search warrants that have been executed, and a lot of the arrests. He's been very successful, and he'll put out a press release, and there'll be some coverage, but they'll be very careful not to note any of the patterns. They're very diligent about not recognizing the patterns.
But you've already done the reporting.
Right.
You've put online, and unfortunately, since it's Maine and it's considered far away and remote and people don't pay attention, it hasn't gotten the coverage it deserves, in my opinion. But you've put the facts out there. Like, they could follow up on that at any moment, and they've decided not to. So, reprinting press releases is not journalism, of course. It's a transcription service. Who owns the media in Maine? Like, who's responsible for this?
Actually, I'm
deliberately
interested
ignoring a crisis.
So the largest newspaper company currently is owned by the Maine Trust for Local News, which is a subsidiary of the National Trust for Local News, which is a nonprofit funded by George Soros.
Oh, of course.
So George Soros controls the media in Maine.
He funds it. He specifically funded the transaction to acquire these papers from Reed Brower.
Of course.
Along with Hans-Jörg Weiss, who's a Swiss national who made his fortune doing illegal bone cement experiments on humans, who's been in trouble in the past for illegally donating as a foreign national to U.S. political candidates, so has a knack for trying to influence American politics as a
Why would
foreign
George
national.
Soros want to control the media in Maine?
Yeah, so Maine's going back to the 1980s. Maine's been a cheap date for people looking to trial political ideas. Beginning with the shutdown of Maine Yankee, our nuclear power plant. There's really just 3 media markets. Like you said, just a handful of newspapers. And if you want to get a ballot initiative done or something like that, it doesn't take a lot of money. So you can come to Maine and you can close a nuclear plant. You can get gay marriage referendum passed. You can get marijuana legalized as a referendum for a small amount of money. And then you can go to another state and say, well, we've already done it in Maine. We can do it in this state. And so we become kind of a petri dish for political experimentation that particularly the progressive left has taken advantage of.
Lovely.
In a very successful way.
Maine was always the whitest state in the United States, has long been, and was a target for that reason too. And they said that out loud. Maine's too white. And so there is a sense in which it was targeted because of its demographics. I mean, they've said that. I'm not guessing at all.
Yeah, I mean, going back 30 years. I mean, under Governor John Baldacci, Lewiston famously became a sanctuary city for Somalis.
Yeah, John Baldacci is a piece of
Can
shit.
you describe Lewiston? What does Lewiston mean?
The Atlantic, I think, described it as Little Mogadishu.
Lewiston, it's on the, it was a mill town.
Yeah, it used to be it was a Franco-American town defined by the
Lewiston's
immigration
awful.
of French Canadians coming down to work in factories. So it was an urban Franco town.
Textiles and paper.
Yeah.
Two of the
And
biggest mills in New England there, right on the Androscoggin River.
working class people,
Yep.
and then an adjacent town, Auburn, frequently referred to as L.A., Lewiston, Auburn. It's I would say that it's the second biggest metropolitan area in the state. But now I would say it's a no-go zone. It's not something that people feel safe. The people who supported turning Lewiston into a sanctuary city for Somalis have now spent as much money.
Lewiston, Maine is the drug capital of the world. There is more drugs in Lewiston, Maine than anywhere else on earth. So just let that sink in. Like, it's absolutely nuts how bad Lewiston is. One of the ways they bring drugs into the state, which it goes out throughout the country, is Lewiston is right up by the border, right? So what they do is they put out lobster buoys, and they'll hide the drugs inside the lobster buoys, like the lobster cages, and then another person, like from Canada, they'll do this, and then somebody from the Maine side will drive out and in the boat and get the lobster cages and haul it up, and then they get the drugs, and then they will go along, and then the channels into Maine, the different rivers and such, there'll be a boat that drops it off on land, and then somebody will pick it up on the shore side, and then they'll drive out. And normally it's from New York or something like that, and they'll drive it down to New York from there. So, like, literally, it's part of the drug highway into the United States. It's like it's the tailpipe of the drug highway, or the entryway, depending on how you look at it. Yeah.
As they can to get as far away from Lewiston as they can.
When was the last time you were in
Move to
Lewiston?
Camden. I have to drive through it frequently for work.
How's it look?
Third world. I mean, it's not doing great. And there are people who will be, partisans for Lewiston, that it's on the verge of a comeback, and you get in trouble if you criticize Lewiston. But we cover police reports. We cover crime reports. We talk to Lewiston police officers. We know what's happening.
It's horrible
in
up
Lewiston.
there.
There are 16 and 17-year-olds engaging in gunfights on the streets. And when the police show up to talk to people, nobody will talk. People are getting shot and nobody will talk. People who get shot won't talk about who shot them.
Right.
So the police are frustrated, and they're all just, looking at the clock and wondering when they can start collecting their pension. But it's just a symptom of the law enforcement is just retreating across the board.
That's sad. That
Whether
is
it's
so
the
sad.
crime that's happening, the drug crime that was happening in Portland, when they were basically allowing open opioid use and not arresting people, including people who are selling narcotics. Whether it's the gun crime in Lewiston or the Chinese organized crime, all of this, there's just law enforcement have they've pulled back.
What's so scary to me is that Maine is now considered a blue state. A lot of the state is not blue at all. Does not in favor of this.
Not at all.
It's the southern parts of the states, coastal parts of the states, the first
That's right.
district.
It's the coastal.
That has been, completely changed demographically. And
Because of immigration, by the way. It's been changed demographically because of immigration. We've allowed so many people from all these other nations into our state. And I don't know if they have citizenship and like their votes aren't supposed to count. But like if you've looked at the map and you look at Maine, it's all red besides this one little sliver of blue. And all the votes come in for all this progressive shit because of that one little sliver of blue. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And like I'd like to think that we aren't counting illegal votes, but like a part of me is really skeptical that we don't have illegals voting. Some type of crime like that. Because our state, like it's absolutely crazy how hard it is to get things passed that everyone, and I mean everyone I talk to, will support an issue. And then somehow the other issue, like it's like a no-brainer. Like it's literally like CMP, for instance, which I was glad, but it was like a narrow victory they had on that. And I'm like, but CMP is the electric company. They have their corridor that we had to vote on it. And like they narrowly didn't get it. And it's just like, holy crap. They almost got their corridor. I mean, it's absolutely wild, man. It's absolutely wild.
now is, totally in the hands of the Democratic Party. But what's interesting is the Republican candidates in Maine, the ones who are lining up to run for governor, for example, in this coming election, none of them, from what I can tell, have even mentioned demographic change, crime, and drugs. Those are not issues that Republicans want to talk about, even though they are the issues. They're the only issues.
I think drugs, that I've seen, a lot of them have talked about drugs, but there's a lot of focus on the culture war issues, trans athletes. The governor is very focused on making sure that boys can participate in girls' sports and dominate girls' sports. But again, this isn't an issue.
I'm against that. Okay, obviously, I think it's a humiliation ritual, like so many of these things. However, is that what destroyed Lewiston?
No,
Okay,
that's not the big issue.
Right. So how many Republicans are willing to say, like, hey, how about no more Somalis in our state? Like, no one voted for that. Why are you doing that? And by the way, there are no jobs here. So, like, why are you bringing poor people into a place with no jobs?
Yeah, that is a fringe radical opinion. That there is a tremendous fear of being socially ostracized. I think what happened, these people, I think you kind of popularized the term gay race communists.
I stole it from someone else, but I do love it.
Well, I love it too. I think that the gay race communists increased the social costs of participating in the public sphere during COVID, helped by COVID, to such a significant degree that good conservative people who might not be explicitly political, but who just are conservative inclined, they have a conservative disposition, withdrew from politics. Because if you went to a school board or you went to a town council meeting and you spoke your mind about what you wanted to see happen in your community, it wasn't just that you disagreed with somebody, it was that you were a bad person. And if you owned a business, well, there's going to be a Facebook mob that was going to go give you 1-star reviews, and you were a bad person. We're going to drive you into the ground if you don't want, porn books with cartoon, blowjobs in them in your kindergarten classroom. If you don't want that, you're a bad person. And so conservatives just said, you know what, screw it. It's not worth my time. The cost is too high. I'm just going to go take care of my family and my church. I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to hang out with my Rotary Club. We ceded the public square to the gay race communists, and they took over with zeal.
I think that's a really crisp and accurate analysis. But there's also
that's exactly right.
The problem of how the state of Maine's government acted, right? So I have a friend, lifelong friend here, who got into an argument with the state about COVID regulations. He had a restaurant, and he came on my show on Fox and mentioned Janet Mills. And she and the other women who run the state, I think the state is run entirely by women, pretty much.
It's a matriarchy.
almost every single official in the state is a left-wing woman, angry left-wing white woman, some angry left-wing Somali woman.
And gay white men from Portland.
And gay white, same thing.
The rainbow bullies.
Yeah. They descended on him and drove him out of the state. They sent inspectors armed to shut down his business for criticizing her.
Sure.
And he's now operating
I think I know who he's talking about.
He's been here his whole life, multi-generationally. So they're like, people are afraid of the state government under Janet Mills.
Yeah.
Do you think that?
It's the biggest problem in our state. I mean, there is a
but it seems like Janet Mills seems like a criminal. The state seems to be run like a criminal enterprise.
That's my view. Every Main Wire reporter gets the spiel. Forget what you learned in civics class. We're reporting on a criminal organization. They steal from people and then they hand out money to their friends and to a dependent class in order to buy votes. That's how you approach reporting on state government in Maine. If you're a reporter from the Main Wire,
how many reporters do you have working for you?
We have 8. We have 9 full-time employees, including myself, at this point.
So I'm not overstating it because probably unlike a lot of people watching this, I actually follow news from the state. I'm interested and horrified. You really are the only organization covering so you came from talk radio where you're like giving opinions. Now you're really just a pretty straight news reporter. Like, here are the facts that we found. We got in the truck, we drove around. Here's what we saw.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an opinionated guy. I mean, I
100%,
can't. But
you're bringing facts to the table.
I try to.
I haven't heard of the Main Wire before. Actually,
but I also
I'm gonna have
just
to
try
check
to be
it out.
honest about my opinions about it.
Yeah, well,
I try to be. Yes, I'm conservative. Yes, I think it's a bad thing that Chinese criminal organizations have taken over my state. Yes, I think that's a bad thing. But I'm also going to be able to report facts objectively.
So, how hard is it to hire reporters? Where do you get your reporters? Could you be bigger? I mean, why wouldn't you have 100 reporters working for you? Could you do that?
Yeah, I mean, if we had the resources and could find the people, I could keep a team of 15, 20 reporters busy around the clock, full time, and pursuing stories. A list of investigative stories that we have to work on that are, not the same size and scope as triad weed is long, but there's so much organized crime, and it's so overlapped with government. Virtually every government program is being taken advantage of. The government itself is handing out no-bid contracts in a way that's hard to separate.
The no-bid contracts thing is another big thing in Maine. They hand them out like candy, and it's like, especially with the tax projects, like they clearly overpay for things and they raise our taxes higher, property taxes especially. I'm lucky that the area that I live in, we have responsible people. That doesn't really happen. You don't see that so much. But the other people that, like, I know Milford, Maine is having a real hard time with their taxes right now. There's a lot of argument with the school boards and such about raises and things, and it's just like, holy crap. And not only that, but like the state keeps doing these mandatory raises of these employees, so they get like a 3% or 4% mandatory raise, and it's like, that's on top of whatever raise they're going to get naturally. So like, it's not fair for the average person to have to foot the bill for all this stuff.
From organized crime. I mean, it's been very difficult to find people to move to Maine. I had really a heartbreaking moment hiring my most recent producer to do our own podcast and Substack project. And I'm talking with him. He grew up in Bangor, did everything right, went to high school, stayed out of trouble, went to Husson, got a degree in film production, and is
nice.
Getting ready to propose to his girlfriend. They've already proposed, so I'm not spilling the beans here. And I said, so what's keeping you in Maine? And he said, we just haven't been able to save up enough money to get out.
Ooh.
And that was like a fucking dagger in my heart. Imagine that. just haven't been able to save up enough money to escape Maine. And it's like, where do you escape to even? I guess Texas, Florida, Tennessee, some red
Texas
states,
is
some blue
really
states maybe you
nice.
can get to. But hearing that from him was like, man, you know, so
Telling you,
that's-
Texas
I
sounds
think
really
that's part-
nice.
you know, I would like Maine to be a place where people want to live. But right now it's not. And it's very hard to hire people who want to come here. It's like a deployment to a war zone. You know, one of my reporters lives in Portland. I
is.
gave him a gun when I hired him, and he said he was going to be living in Portland. All legally transferred, by the way.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when your government is committing crimes like this, it's hard to take seriously their laws, which is part of the problem. Everything degrades. It's like, really, you're totally corrupt. You're allowing Chinese drug cartels to control my state, and you're worried about whether I have the right license to carry a firearm?
That's right.
Yours.
But that phenomenon, by the way, has trickled down into all of the legal marijuana businesses who invested in some cases their life savings to build a business, do it legally, do things the right way. Now they're seeing that the laws are being enforced
Against them.
only against white people.
Yep.
The marijuana laws are only being enforced against white people. So increasingly, you're seeing more people adopt the same tactics that the Chinese mafia is, shipping out of state, blowing, growing more than their licenses allow, cutting corners. There's a pretty famous case, a guy named Lucas Sorois in Farmington, Maine, who was he set up a business called the Shoe Factory, which was in an old shoe factory building where he built these rooms, and people who wanted to grow marijuana could rent from him, and they would grow their marijuana at this property. And he got reported to the Office of Cannabis Policy, and the Office of Cannabis Policy immediately referred him to the Drug Enforcement Agency, the federal Drug Enforcement Agency. And the DOJ got on top of him, and they wiretapped his phones, recorded his conversations with his father.
That's so
and
much
are still
bullshit.
to this day pursuing the case to try to send him to prison for doing a smaller scale version of what they knew. They knew, and I can prove they knew because there's public documents and documents I've obtained through Freedom of Access Act requests, what they knew the Chinese organizations were doing at the same time, including at that facility in Turner where William Robinson was shot in the head in December. So they are, if you've got a French Canadian last name, they're going to stick the DOJ after you. They're going to try to lock you in a cage.
So crazy.
But if your last name is Wu or Huang or Chen, you don't get the laws applied to you. You get arrested, you get $500 bail, maybe $10,000 or $20,000 if it's Somerset County, and then who knows if you show up at your trial or if
You're
get
making me
sentenced.
really radical. Has, to the governor's brother who's profiting, who has provably profited from this, is anybody in Maine state media mentioning this? Is anyone following up on this?
No.
The governor's never responded to this. It's just like you report this and then it just disappears.
National media reported on it. Yeah, I mean, plenty. I mean, they've got plenty of attention in the national media.
I'm blown away right now.
I've done a segment with CBS to their credit. Peter Schweitzer, who's a great author, journalist who's spent a lot of time working on the China topic and the drug topic, helped me get in touch with CBS, and they came up and did a segment on it. NBC later ripped off that segment and basically plagiarized all of my journalism, but that's fine. It's gotten national attention, but not the Paul Mills part of it. And the local newspaper reporters don't seem to be interested in it. It's
so
weird.
wild.
I've been accused of xenophobia for reporting on
Xenophobia?
this huge criminal organization that took over my state, and that's ruining all of these buildings. That's one thing.
Accused you of that?
Oh, it's just idiots online, progressives, elected officials. I actually, the only time I've ever testified on a bill was when there was a lawmaker who introduced a bill that would have given Maine a little RICO statute to help crack down on organized crime operations like this. And I figured I'd testify because I've seen more of these than anybody in the state. At this point, I could be a self-anointed expert witness in Chinese marijuana. I've got a degree in Chinese marijuana. And so I testified neither for or against this bill and just was there to answer questions about how this operates.
Oh,
And
shit.
as we included the clip in our documentary, they didn't want to hear. They shut down my testimony and said, "Can we hear from an actual expert about this?" And they pushed me out, and they voted down the bill, voted against the only piece of legislation that would have empowered law enforcement to do anything about this. So they've reacted very negatively and hostilely to my attempts to just show them what's happening in the state. I think we've gone above and beyond in terms of the evidence that we've provided, the documentation that we've provided, because we know that not being being independent media, being conservative media, there's going to be a higher standard of proof that we have to meet. And I think that we've met it and gone way beyond it over and over and over and over and over again. And still, they will not acknowledge it. And specifically when it comes to Paul Mills, who his clients are involved in more marijuana grows than the one we've reported on. There's a building in Sangerville, Maine, right now. It's the biggest building in Sangerville. It started construction in August of last year, and it's just now finished, and it's coming online, and it's going to be a big, big productive marijuana grow owned by the client that Paul Mills transferred the property and credit to.
Client.
Yeah.
So the point of Maine is its majestic nature. The governor, Janet Mills, who
Right.
you really can't overstate. Really, it's shocking the more you know about Janet Mills, but they have bulldozed, chainsawed, flattened, clear-cut forests in Maine for solar panels because that's like environmentally positive or something. I mean, it's like deranged.
It's part of the criminal organization.
It is. And they hate nature. They hate nature amazingly. What's the environmental impact of these grows?
They do.
Every single house that has had
I hate solar panels. I hate solar panels and I hate windmills. And they keep saying it's renewable energy, renewable energy, renewable energy. It's not renewable energy. For one, you need the solar panels, like the paneling only last about 7 years. So after 7 years, they start degrading with how much sun they capture. So that's bad. And then for the big windmills, it's literally an environmental disaster waiting to happen because they always leak. Like people don't seem to understand that like it causes environmental destruction just from the fluids that leak out of these things. And that affects groundwater. That affects a lot of different things. And also it affects the migratory patterns of birds. It completely ruins it. And if you put it offshore, like they have them out in the ocean type thing, like on, so many miles out, it still affects sea life. It affects whale patterns where they swim. It's not renewable energy. And the idiots who believe that that's renewable energy is just absolutely, they're wrong. They're just wrong. What we really should do for Maine, at least, we had nuclear power. There was a nuclear power plant. We should really switch to nuclear power. It saves space and it's so much more reliable and it's so much safer to have. But unfortunately, everyone freaks out at nuclear power because they think nuclear bombs, and it's like it's not the same thing, guys. The Fukushima Daiichi explosion that happened, that was a whole mess load of things going wrong at once, and that was old tech. The new stuff isn't like that. You don't have a risk of all that stuff, and we really need to learn to advance. But unfortunately, when public opinion comes in, you can scare the public into not liking those things. I'm gonna stop the video here because I don't want to actually use up all of this interview. Tucker Carlson, obviously he has a right to what he shows. I'm only reacting to it. I'm a React streamer. So I don't want to use like all this content. Some people, sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. This one I think is a good enough interview that like really everyone should watch and share that around. Tucker Carlson, including I think I can get smacked for this. I'm not really adding much to it. I can't really talk much because I'm just like so shocked at what I'm seeing. If you liked it, subscribe. If you want to hang out with me and chat and stuff like that, cool. I'm gonna be playing some Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I'll probably be playing till about 11 o'clock. It's now 9:42. So yeah. So we will switch over to that. Let me fix. Okay. And hold on, let me get my controller. I'll be right back. But yeah, we can talk about some stuff. Doing something earlier. Don't do. Because today I got gold. But off. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Let's talk. Holy crap, though. That is quite the extreme case of stuff going on. I did not realize how much crap the state of Maine was going through. Oh, yeah. We probably want to see it. There you go. All right. I am down here. Look at this lightning swordy thingy thing.
Got any? Here's what I've turned up on.
But yeah, so this is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. It's nice to play something a little different. So, the next games I've been thinking about playing,
Like me to buy back?
one of them is Resident Evil,
What are you looking to buy?
and the other one is, oh, cool, I already own it. Not Resident Evil. Oh, what game is it? I was thinking.
Is this? Then we have a deal.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll be.
Okay, Resident Evil. Oh yeah, an Octopath Traveler. Both of which I like. I've never played Resident Evil before. Like the first one. Actually, I've never played any Resident Evils. Literally, I've never ever played any of them. All right, so. I think this is where we're at.
Surrender! Tip surrender!
You know, actually, I'm thinking. No, we were. We were down on the other portion. We were down here, I think. All right. Oh no. Where do I go? Well, all right, we got fried fish and platinum. Go down, maybe? Maybe that's the play? I'm not sure. I haven't played this before in a long time. Okay. Traveler's hat? Let's see. That's better. All right. Damn. Damn. I guess I do have to fight that guy. Okay. Let's be at 28. There we go.
Tip surrender! Tip surrender! Tip surrender! Tip surrender!
Okay. All right. We're gonna get some money and we're gonna try to make ourselves some potion so we can fight that guy and hopefully win.
I finished. And
Can you play?
sure.
Yeah, no, that's really disheartening hearing all that, you know?
Got it. Here's what I've turned. Good work.
2 platinum.
Remember, not. What are you looking to buy? What are you looking to sell? Is this right? Thank you. Is this right? Thank you. Is that thank you?
We got rings for other purposes.
What are you looking to buy? Thank you.
All right. Now we got some money. We'll see if we can
Hi, Mira.
power up our
What
stuff.
are we transmuting this time?
I'll go with this. I'll go with this.
There, all done.
Yeah, there's going to be nothing I can get, really. Strike, hit lightning.
I'll go with this. 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 I'll go with this.
Pace yourself out.
Let's go back and buy potions.
Remember, what are you looking to buy? Is this right? Many thanks. Thank you.
We're gonna make them.
What are we transmuting this time?
We have to prepare nothing. We can't make anything. Wow. All right.
I'll go with this.
Pace yourself.
I could. What are you looking to buy? Is this when we have a deal? Thank you.
So, what'll it be?
I'll go with this.
Pace yourself.
Have any? What are you looking to buy? Is this many thanks? Thank you.
All right, I can make one more.
It's good. What are we transmuting this time?
Oh, I can only have 5 of them? Yeah, I can only have 5 of them. All right. Creative. Where's?
I'll go with this. I'll go with this.
Yeah, this is what I got. All right. Well, we're gonna go fight him, I guess. We're gonna try to. I don't know, man. I don't think I have enough life. Yes. This area is really difficult to get through. All right. Made it to the save point without using any healing items. So, okay, we have a shot at this. Right? Right, guys? We have a shot at this.
Oh, come to see me, have you? Oh, Miriam, what are you doing here?
I ought to ask you the same.
I commanded you to leave this place.
I cannot. I gave Jeeble my word, and I intend to keep it.
Very well. This sigil was not meant for you, but we are far enough from the castle that it can contain you here. Goodbye, Miriam. Stand down! A cursed order! A cursed order!
Shit!
If I mix this tincture... Start with this.
I think we're doing pretty good this time.
makes this sting? This power you have is even greater than I imagined. I must get back the book.
That will never happen.
All right, we did it.
I have to make it happen. I have waited too long for this chance. Our last chance.
All right. So. What exactly is this? Deep Sinker. Allows you to explore beneath the surface! Yay! So all those water levels now we can actually explore. All right, this opens up a lot of the map, and we get to save. Yay! Save points right here. Hopefully that means that we'll get to, you know, play some.
Protect you.
All right, so we can just go up here now and.
Hi, Miriam. What are we transmuting this time?
I'll go with this.
Promise you'll stop.
All right.
Even though I've learned, even Zangetsu must be scratching his... What? What?
Here, he sent a message arrow. In the searing hot caves, seek the strange demon.
Strange demon? That's it?
He says he saw the demon falling up.
I'm not sure I understand, but it sounds like finding that demon is my best lead.
I agree. Now, is there anything else you need? What are you looking to buy? What are you looking to sell?
What are you buying? What are you selling?
Is this many thanks? Is this then we have it? Is that then we have a deal? What are you looking to buy? Is this many thanks? Is many thanks?
That'll do.
Thank you. I'll be here.
That'll do. All right, now to explore the water finally. All right, now we don't need... Okay, we can use the reflection ray instead, and yeah, we're good to go. This is actually kind of a good weapon too for underwater, because everything's electric. All right, 2,000 cash. I wonder what this is. My fish. All right. Yeah, the clams make a weird sound. Like, they sound like babies. Like, I don't know what clams sound like. I never expected a clam to sound like a baby. Plunderer's ring. I think we take it. I like them item drops, you know? Alright, we change our equipment now. Switch it back to that. That's good. Oh, wait.
Wait, what? That's Dominique. And Alfred?
This was your proposal, Exorcist? Explain yourself.
I should have been there, but you broke your word as well when you laid that trap for me.
I wasn't about to allow the book to fall into your hands.
Why would I want it?
Revenge, perhaps? For your parents.
Someone has been putting ideas in your head.
Miriam.
Huh? No, wait! Oh. I would have preferred you not see that.
So the trap Alfred laid was for you?
Yes, and that's why I sent Zangetsu to deal with it. He has the power to stop Alfred from teleporting. I thought he might be able to contain Alfred, while we dealt with our bigger problems here.
It makes sense. But what was all that about your parents? Revenge?
Ooh, the
Wanted
plot
to give the
thickens.
wrong idea. So I suppose I had better tell you. My parents were exorcists, like me. But during the demon outpouring 10 years ago, they were killed in battle. So I have my reasons for hating demons, and that accursed book.
I'm so sorry. You must hate us all for it.
I let go of the hatred years ago. All that matters now is that I gain control of the Liber Logaeth and prevent it from ever being used for evil again.
All right. I'll help you.
Thank you. I'll do all I can for you in return.
All right. Now we're in this demon pit. Which I completely forgot about this part of the game. I've already beaten this game, so I know like all this stuff, so. Things are not merciful about their damage here. No, they're not. Nope. Alright, so now we're in this really creepy... Let's read. Jeebel's efforts have supplied us with a large quantity of shards. Now that the children are being well trained, we have begun the shard binding experiments to great success. One girl in particular, Miriam, seems to have boundless potential, both in terms of how many shards she can wield and to what magnitude. If my calculations are correct, then we have finally amassed enough crystal to perform the great demon summoning. It has been a long and arduous path, but we will soon reach the end. My old friend continues to oppose the ritual. However, to gain much, we must sacrifice much. It is the most basic principle of alchemy. Yes, to gain something, you must give something in return of equal value. It is the law of equal exchange in alchemy. Later turned to the chemistry term that Einstein used. Energy can be not created nor destroyed, only transferred. Okay. Got 25 minutes left about that. 30 minutes. Was there already a boss? I don't remember there being a boss here. What boss is this? Oh, that's right. Nope, didn't have anything to stop that.
Human have against me.
She pretty much stands on the ground, so. There we go. Shadow. Yeah, it creates a shadow double of you.
Protect you.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait until I get the... You know what? This is where I'm gonna stop, actually, for tonight. Got a pretty good ways through it. Tonight, we opened up 2 new areas. That was pretty good. So, yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna be on tomorrow or not. I might be, I might not be. It depends if my group plays Magic with me or not. We do, I'm not gonna be on, probably. We don't, I'll be on. Most likely. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. I had fun. Hope you did too. Yeah. Alright, guys. Catch you later. See ya!